Welcome to Life's a Coach. Our mission is to empower individuals like you to take charge of your life, discover your purpose, and elevate your performance to new heights. Each week, we'll be diving into engaging discussions, introducing you to valuable tools from the coaching world, and giving you different perspectives on individual development. Whether you're seeking clarity, motivation, or a fresh perspective, we've got you covered. Again, welcome to Life's a Coach, where the power to transform your life begins now.
Welcome back to Life's a Coach, guys. My name's Eric Clermont. Today we've got life coaches Almar and Sofia in the house. How's it going, guys?
Hey,
Hi, everyone.
everything's great today.
Fantastic. Okay, so today we're going to be discussing an interesting one. Okay, we're going to be talking about personal chemistry and the unspoken key to finding the right life coach. Okay, so specifically, we're going to be talking about the ability to find a life coach that really fits in with your personality, your beliefs, your behaviors. So I want to ask you guys, just to get us kicked off, you guys are life coaches now, but you've had life coaches in the past. How did you find the right life coach for you at the moment in life that you were actually in? And how did you know that that was the right fit? Sophia.
You start too deep. Come again with the first question. How do I thought that my
So
first life coach fitted
we want
you?
to frame this question of, personal chemistry between a coach and a client, right? And really for our listeners, we want to start with perhaps some personal anecdotes of how we, when we were clients, and we're still clients now, right? Even though we're coaches, how
Definitely.
we were able to find that right fit, that right connection between who the right life coach was and the wrong life coach was. And I want to say, it doesn't have to be life coach. I think any therapeutic modality. I'll start first, if it helps, because this is just coming to my mind. But the first two times that I did therapy, it was through a very national organization. It was online as well. And I actually found the wrong fit of therapist. And I was looking for somebody with, you know, psychotherapy background, somebody who had kind of worked in different areas such as like CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. And so I was looking at all of the accolades. They've been in therapy for, both of them 15 to 20 years, a lot of experience with helping, people to change their mindset and things like that. And I really felt that the part that was missing with both in different ways was the fact that I wasn't able to personally connect or to gain some kind of resonance with them. And I don't know if that was because it was online or not. But, the first one I kind of stopped within kind of 3 or 4 weeks. And then the next one, it was a little bit longer, maybe 3 months. But the issue there was I never really felt that I moved forward with that specific therapist. So talking to you guys now, specifically about your own experiences, what experiences have you had with, starting life coach with someone and how that chemistry plays into whether you will, work with that life coach or you're going to maybe, you're going to do me and you're just going to quit after a couple months.
Just real quick, what
As-
came to me is I'm fascinated to know how does one break up with a therapist or a coach? But maybe that's because
Maybe that's for another time.
It's ghosted. Nah,
I would
I'm
go.
not ghosted.
I would go first to that important difference, I would say, Eric. Now that you brought the therapist part of it, and I think we've never discussed this before, what is the difference on searching for a coach and searching for a therapist?
Is there a difference?
That's my question.
Personal opinion is no.
Yeah, the more I'm feel as if it's definitely becoming more of a dual modality, where coaching has become much more therapeutic with people get more certifications and actually working through a process, right? And on the other end, right, therapy, I've spoken to therapists who have said that doing coaching the way coaching needs to be done is more of it's a better way to do things than the old therapeutic model, which is very much based off of, advising and diagnosing and so on and so forth.
So how does coaching need
It's-
to be done?
Say again?
How does coaching need to be done?
So I think it's nuanced to every specific coach, but from the underlying perspective, it is coming from a place where the client holds all the answers internally themselves, and we as coaches are helping guide them towards that process. That for me is what real coaching is.
I would go for a sentence that I've heard, and probably it was Jay's, or it was someone similar to Jay's that mentioned this, that therapy a lot of times is based on the present, but helping you search on your past. What was the process and the journey that you had to be in the place where you are now, and helping you understand that. And coaching goes more on you're in the present, but putting your eyes on what you want to achieve in the future, and going throughout that journey and how you will handle the challenges and the things that happen into your journey. Do you relate with this, being life coaches?
The distinction between therapy and coaching, but I think the best therapists and coaches are probably able to do both, and they're able to help clients go into their past, talk about past traumas, and then create plans to be able to help them in their futures. I think that a good coach, and this is going to sound very judgy, and I'm waiting for Almar to get me on this, but I think that a good coach is missing something if they don't do both.
So you think it's a good idea to go and talk about your trauma?
I think if it's necessary, if you haven't healed, I think it's very difficult to move forward without looking in the past.
I don't know. I think that's I just don't see anything helpful. Sometimes you need to unload, and you need someone to see you, like, to witness you. And so you feel that you need to, like, this is my story, right? But that's the problem, is that you're just living in your story. And to go back to your story and jump in there and live it all over again, I don't think there's anything therapeutic with that. I don't see how you can move forward from that.
So I disagree. I think that it's important, first of all, again, seeing that a coach's role is hopefully to guide somebody through that in a healthy way, right? I think if it's a friend, perhaps without the right skills, it can turn into a victimhood kind of, I was wronged, and, everything's wrong with me because of this and that, right? So don't get me wrong, it can lead to a blaming session or a negativity session. It's the skill of the coach to ask the deep and powerful, meaningful questions to divulge, okay, this is what happened to me. This is how it affected me. And then most importantly, now what? Like, now, so what? Like, what,
So
what
we
are we going
come
to do
in
with
with a
this?
flashlight. Okay, so like, okay, this is where it was. All right, that's fine. Here's the flashlight. Take my hand. Let's go forward. Let's leave that behind. And so isn't that what we do as coaches, is to
Absolutely.
like lead you forward?
I'm with Almar on that one, is that then I went here to read it again. Coaches should be future oriented. And this is the goal of our process with clients, right? We want to help them, guide them through a goal or something that they want to achieve or something that they want to put in their lives. And therapy, as Almar was saying on the addressing issues, therapy is most to this, to address past issues, mental health challenges. And although we can be with a lot of certifications, there's specific certifications for therapists to do this kind of addressing things. Mental health challenges are not for coaches. And here I'm being very practical and clean, because sometimes, and I see this in some clients, they want to be coached because they don't want to go deep on the challenges that they have mentally. And we have, as coaches, we are also obligated to understand the difference and not. Do you remember that expression I believe we had from some of our mentors, saying that some people are in the moment of their life, they are not coachable? You ever heard this from any of the mentors in the school?
Yeah, explain the context with what you mean then.
People dealing with mental health situations or with such a big addiction that they were not coachable at that moment of their life. So we should address them the proper even if it's therapy or any physician that would help them with the situation that they were living, because in that moment of their life they were not prepared to be driven.
We're not psychotherapists. We're not therapists.
That's it.
And so we take people who are, because we know that they are whole, complete, and resourceful, right? But they have to be ready.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, having a therapist first to work out what therapists do so well. I mean, they're trained very well for it. Let them do their job. And then when you're ready to start tackling life's challenges, because that requires, a good amount of mental grit too. So you have to be prepared. And I think, not everybody, as Sofia said, is coachable today, but maybe in 1 month they will be.
I mean, I agree with that. I still think that let me try and frame it with an example, right? Of a client that comes to you and they want to talk about their ability at their job to be able to ask their boss for a raise, right? Because they've been in this company for 5 years, haven't moved up, they've been doing all the right things, and they really feel as if they are hard done by and they haven't been given the opportunities, right? So, disclaimer, obviously people with deep any mental health issues needs to see a licensed psychotherapist or somebody in that modality, 100%, right? And some people, for that reason, are definitely, need to see a professional that is trained, in those ways. That being said, I think somebody that I just spoke about who is in that predicament, a lot of the times, the reason why they do not have the skills, or they're not ready to be able to have that kind of conversation, may be based on past trauma, past experiences with being able to talk to figures of authority or so on and so forth. So I feel as if it is a mistake to not to address the potential past experiences of this person, to identify deep down at the core what is the thing that is holding them back.
Okay, we're talking about big T trauma versus little T trauma here, though, right? I mean, is that
if it's stopping you from realizing your full potential, big T, little t is still trauma. It's something that is, of course, again, we're talking, again, very broad strokes, but again, if it's something with somebody's mental health, 100% they need to see a licensed therapist. But that's still a therapeutic endeavor when we are taking them back into their past somewhat to identify again what they can learn from
So
that is
what do
going to make
we
that.
as coaches then? So what can we do with you? When do you come to see
A
you
coach.
or to Sophia, anybody, a coach? Thank you, Sophia.
When do you go come and see a
Yeah,
coach? I
yeah.
think
Let's put the trauma stuff
yeah,
aside.
when I
Never
think when
mind.
you've got any kind of block and you are struggling to realize your fullest potential.
What are some blocks, common blocks?
Um, unable to achieve goals, lack of fulfillment, lack of purpose. Can you come up with
Sophia?
them?
People can come, like, I'm just going to give this example because it happened to me very recently. As you know, my background is on human resources. So a lot of my previous colleagues know me for doing interviews, recruiting, all of that. And a person came to me, like, help me prepare for an interview. And I turned that to coaching because the person keep on asking me, okay, I want to do more of this. So it was just as simple as that. I want to be prepared for an interview that I really want that job. And it's a very simple thing. It's at first it wouldn't look like coaching. But then while discussing during the discovery call, and it's the first call that all of us do when knowing a new client, we started debriefing a lot on what was behind the reason that the person really wanted that job. Was that interview so important to them? And then this discussion led to, I want to do this again. And then, okay, let's turn this into coaching, because it was no longer only preparing for that interview. It was a little bit more on what was behind of it. So I would say that I would go with you, Eric. Sometimes the person has a block, but I would say that the person has a goal. So the person wants something.
And why did the person choose you? Was it your background? How did you meet? I mean, how did they get around to deciding that
So
you were the coach
I
for
think
them?
it became first for a referral, like he wanted someone that acted in this area of human resources before, and then someone that he knew and that he trusted told him, oh, I have a person that could help you with that.
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth. And I'm getting more and more into this helps a lot. The word of mouth helps a lot. But then I think that the discovery call is very important, because in the past, someone with word of mouth came to me and it didn't work. We didn't connect. So while we were talking on how to choose or how to get your life coach, the discovery call really makes a difference, because it helps you also understand if you're going to connect with that person or not. And for the sake of our listeners, maybe, and Eric, going back to how you started, maybe it's not going to be the first coach that it's going to result for you. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that coaching does not work for you. Maybe it's about the coach or yourself. And even us as coaches can say, I will not work with this person because I don't see this growth. But please, your thoughts on this.
I
No,
think that's
I love where
wonderful.
you went there.
It doesn't matter how many hours of that you have under your belt or how many certificates at the end of the day. I guess that's why they call it a chemistry call, right?
Yeah.
To figure out, because it's a relationship. Yeah, absolutely. But boy, they can be daunting, huh? A little intimidating to have to, like, how many discovery calls. If you're lucky, it's the first one, but at the very minimum, your coach should have a certification for sure. And don't look at social media and how many followers they have, because as Sophia mentioned, she's a great coach, but most of her referrals are word of mouth. So it's not social media. So, don't let that sway you. But yeah, it's that chemistry call. Ooh, Eric, what was that? Look.
No, it's going off in a number of different tangents. Chemistry call for sure. Yes, I love that. Obviously, this is very subjective to the individual, right? But what are some signs maybe that a client can try to look for, to know that this coach resonates with them? And I'm really, cognizant of the fact that perhaps some people might have a conception of what they think they're going to get out of a specific interaction, and it can be helpful for them to again, I'm very much on checklists and stuff like that. And, but like, even if it's more of a feeling, right? How should they feel coming out of a discovery session, right?
Yeah, but
That
how about
kind of
even going into
points
it?
in the
Like,
right direction.
Into it. I'm going on Almar into it. Let me
yeah,
let me give you the my experience, because Eric, you asked us about our coaches. So we are life coaches, but we also have coaches. I remember when I first saw your message. So you coached me, I coached you in the past. So we know ourselves into this. And one of the things that most attract me to you, it's because on the messages that you post, you were so different than I. And I wanted someone who would challenge me, because
Wow.
I know that to move forward, I need to be challenged. I need someone that would act, speak in that way. It was the only two things I could see on you: act, because you did a post that I would never do, and speak because you use words that I would never use. So I wanted that, someone that would act and speak differently than I do. That was what attracted me to talk to you, and let's do this together.
I love that. And for the listener, I just want to underline what Sophia said there, because it takes a certain amount of self-awareness to understand what you need, even if it's uncomfortable. And a lot of people want somebody who's going, even if it's subconscious, they want somebody who's going to agree with them and make them feel comfortable and basically act as a friend, right? As a sounding board, and who's not going to challenge them. And I don't think that that's a conscious choice, but in the discovery call, we're much more likely to, I think, some people, definitely not Sophia, but we're much more likely to choose a coach maybe who is agreeing with us and who's making our life easier. Do you know what I mean? I think maybe, I don't know. Again, I'm playing devil's advocate here,
Almar.
who kind of makes us feel better about ourselves.
Hmm.
No, isn't that
yeah,
human
but like, how
nature?
about before that? Because like, I think I look at it as shopping. I'm shopping. What do I need right now? Okay, and who are you? And what's your experience? And I want it to be so much more than me. Like, I want you to have done so much more. I want you to be, in that area that I'm looking for. I want to see that you have experience in that. And because I'm looking for coaching, and I want you to, yeah, I want you to coach me, teach me, and guide me. Yeah, so credentials, yes, they count, but they're not everything. How you present yourself as a coach, yeah, because I'm shopping, I'm a very visual person. I go on feeling, what's the energy look like, even in just the presentation, that says a lot to me. And then am I going to take the risk and like reach out and schedule a 30-minute session to see if we connect physically? That one's also kind of intimidating. Do I really want to spend I mean, it is a process,
It
but
is.
um,
It's
um,
true.
and then when we do meet, and I don't feel the connection, and maybe I don't feel you can help me. What do I do from there? Or which has happened in the past. I came to you for one thing, but somehow in our discovery call, I found that actually I would love to work with you on something else. And that's always been a lovely discovery, because coaching is so valuable. There's so many areas in our lives that a coach is needed and can be useful. I mean, I've had many coaches for many different areas. And I'll tell you what, for me, coaching is really challenging, because being pushed to grow is not comfortable.
And I've found, Almar, that it's very rarely the first area that the client comes to us with that is the
Hmm.
area that we primarily
Yeah, I agree with
work
that.
on, as you say, right? Um, Something you said there really kind of hit a chord with me, just with regards to you spoke a little bit about how you feel, I think, after the session, during the session, after the session, what the difference between how you felt before and how you felt after. Can we guide, our listeners as to, should you feel a certain way, and if so, kind of, what are some good signs and what are some bad signs of just taking any thought out of it with regards to, okay, this person can help me. He has or she has, much more life experiences, all of the logical reasons why you should or should not work with a specific coach. Just the body now. Like, how should our body feel?
Well,
Or
I
can our
want
body?
Sophia to answer this, but I wanted to preface that we've always, we've been told in our course of study that I don't have to be an expert in whatever it is that you're coming to me for. And it's really important to put that out there, is that I don't really have to have your life experience, and I don't have to be an
Definitely.
expert in whatever it is that you're coming to me. That's not really, I'm not a mentor, and I'm not a consultant, I'm a coach. Yeah. And so I just that wanted to.
I love that you are bringing this up, Almar, because you said some people will focus on the experience or how many years you have on this. And a lot of times it's not about that. And with coaching, it's not experience on a specific field. Sometimes it's easier for people to come to you if you have experience on a certain field professionally, for example. But coaches have the same tools and the same framework to work, whether you're 15 years of experience in finance, whether you have 1 year of experience in digital influencing. And I'm just going to opposite topics just to highlight here. Back to your question, Eric. I'm here. It's a difficult one to answer on if the person feels, how it impacts when you're talking to a coach. I would probably guide our listeners to talk to more than one coach and see and try to understand which worked better, and not going only one and I didn't like this. Maybe it's something uncomfortable because the coach made you go to a place that you don't want to talk about. And it's not about the coach and yourself, the relationship. As you said, Eric, in the chemistry call or discovery call, it's good when we challenge clients because it will make them think on things that they want to work or they not. But maybe my guidance here would be try some coaches, try some discovery calls. Normally, I say this normally because at least it's on me, it's free. Some coaches may not have them free, but normally they are free. Just try some of them.
Absolutely. Discovery calls are usually free, but for most coaches.
For most coaches.
Um,
At least for
no,
us. So.
yeah, exactly. So again, just kind of framing, just coming back to the original, I guess, question, right? Um, the unspoken key to finding the right life coach for you. Um, with regards to Sophia brought it up earlier, finding the right life coach for you might not always be the life coach that agrees with you, that makes you feel comfortable, that makes you kind of, it might not always be a positive experience all the time, right? At least, from that standpoint. So, how, like, does it mean if a life coach kind of rubs you the wrong way, can that um experience, if they, like, if they push back, like, you can probably imagine that I'm that type of life coach by my my interactions, because I always, like to poke the bear a little bit. um but it's more a curiosity thing, do you know what I mean? And I like to go a little bit deeper, with that being said, how should clients navigate that situation where, differentiating between if a coach is really trying to help you grow, or like me right now, they're just trying to kind of poke the bear a little bit and kind of see, kind of they're trying to create a little bit of friction.
Which is something that causes you to grow. It's the same thing, just a different,
Love that.
tactic. Yeah, for sure. Well, I'll tell you what, if you're dreading your next coaching session with the coach that you have chosen, that's a good moment, first of all, to ask yourself why. But, if it's because you don't want to do the work, or you didn't do the work, or, oh, she's going to challenge me, or he's going to challenge me again, or is it because it's just not a enjoyable experience? Because I've had coaches where it was just not an enjoyable experience. And I want to enjoy it as well as
Mhm.
be challenged from it. But I just do. And
You speak to the difference there, Armand, because I think there's a fine line, right? There's a
is
fine
there
line.
a fine line?
I think there is. I think there's a fine, like what
Well,
you're saying. Like
okay.
what you're
So,
saying here is basically the you basically just said, hey, I'm okay with this being uncomfortable to a point that challenges me, but if it goes beyond this point, then this
sure.
might not
So
be for me.
I
What
don't
like
want to
what where's
do
that
this work.
where's that line?
Right. So it's like, okay, I acknowledge that, ugh, you're going to make me work. You're going to make me do this thing. I say make me, right? No one makes you do anything, but you're there for a reason. So you're the one that's making yourself do it. What is this feeling that I'm having? It's because maybe I didn't do the work that I was supposed to do from the last session to this one, and I don't want to have to see you. Maybe it's because I know that you're going to give me even more work to do and you stretch my comfort level. Okay, but that's why I'm here to see a coach, is because this is my goal. And yeah, I do need to do these things to get there. That's one side of the line. On the other side of the line is, I don't feel you're really listening to me, or I don't feel you're really understanding me, or I don't feel um
Yes.
I don't
Yeah.
feel like I'm really free to be me with you, or whatever it is, my feelings, those are different.
Mm.
And
How mu how
mhm,
would you how would you address that? Like, how can we help our listeners faced in that situation to address that to a coach?
yeah, that one's a hard one. That's why, earlier in our when we first started this podcast, Eric had mentioned a couple of his therapists, his coaches that he was seeing, and one for just a few times, and another short session, and which prompted me to also have been in the situation where, how do I break up with the coach when I realize that I'm just not enjoying this process? And maybe I'll throw it back. Sophia, I accept your question, but now I'm going to divert it over to Eric and ask
Eric,
him,
yeah. Hmm.
how do you break up with the coach when you find yourself in that scenario? I'll tell you, because I haven't broken up with them. I just endured, because for
Yeah.
whatever reason I endured, but in my mind I would tell myself, I'm not going to work with you again. I'm not going to renew our contract. And I only signed for a very short, maybe 3, 4 sessions to begin with, to see if I want to continue. And if I don't, I can probably handle another one, because I'm a glutton. And I'm always open to see if maybe this next time things will change. Maybe I'll have, I always love to give a chance and give myself a chance at the next. But yeah, I've just been lucky to decide not to renew. Has that been the case for you, Eric? Is that what it was, or
Well,
did I
it
give everybody an answer to how do you get out of a coaching situation that you're not wanting to
just
be?
endure it. Just endure it. I
Just
mean, that's
endure the
definitely one
pain.
way.
It
There's
builds
definitely one way.
character.
Yeah, exactly. I think it comes back to what we've spoken about before, right? Is being very clear about your what you want from
Yeah.
the process, what the dream outcome, so to speak. And again, this doesn't need to be in black and white, but you need to at least, I call it dream goal, because you need to know the direction that you're going in, right? So an area that in the mornings that I've really tried to focus on, and I think I've spoken before. In the evenings, I do something called yoga nidra. Have you heard of yoga nidra?
Oh, yes.
I'm loving it just before bed. A very kind of intentional practice,
What do you love
and
about it?
um, I was actually just going to say
Oh, sorry.
the intentionality. There's a word that they use, sankalpa, where you discuss your intention for the practice, but I think it goes deeper into the subconscious, into really telling your body and through your mind that every part of your being needs to and wants this, like, to be moving in this direction, and this this perfect outcome, right? And a lot of the time where I feel a big disconnect is because when I'm reactive in the mornings and I'm checking my phone immediately, or at night I'm just going to bed having just finished an email or answering a text, is I don't have that time to just reset. What is your intention? What is your sankalpa? And so look that up. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful word.
Spell it.
SANS space COLPA, sankalpa.
Yeah,
It's
just
Latin.
Google yoga nidra.
Yeah,
Focus.
yoga nidra. Yeah, exactly. But I guess that comes back to in coaching, if we can be clear as to, as Almar and Sofia said, if we can be clear as to what that our sankalpa is, like, what are we struggling with and where do we want to move, then it becomes much easier to now ascertain whether a specific session has taken us closer or kept us back from reaching that sankalpa. So I know myself, I'm definitely not there yet, but I know that's what I need. So to frame that with your question, yeah, like if it hasn't, then I think we need to, like, I've tried to kind of almost, that's just my personality. I've actually asked, hey, can you know can we re-establish some goals as to what I'm looking to achieve right now. And again, if they kind of do that and you're very clear, then I think it's time to move on. Do you know what I mean? Because they're not helping you to achieve what you want to achieve.
Yeah, but to be fair, like you said, it's right. Show up with an agenda because the coach needs to know what the agenda is for the day as well, and so that you're both on track. And if you show up just like without a plan, then plan for the unknown, I suppose. And then where are you going to go?
I like what you said also, Almar, on when you were expressing the I don't feel listened, I don't feel that you listen to me, I don't feel that you're guiding me. Express your needs. I think it's also important in any coaching, therapy, or mentoring, any development area, as in any relationship. Expressing what you need is also important because maybe it's just a misalignment at that moment, and it doesn't mean that the coach is not going to try to work it out. We all, and you were saying that we are all taught, or this is our practice to listen to our coachees, but sometimes we also get a little bit onto it and we start talking and talking, and maybe just stop your coach and say, I really want to speak, I really need you to listen to me, and then the life coaches get back on track. And you're totally right, let's go into that. What do you want to speak to me today?
Remember, use your voice, and coaches are not mind readers, right?
Definitely.
Perfect, fantastic.
All
Okay, just as we begin to close, I'd love for us to almost just quick summary, or from our life coaches Alma and Sofia,
And
if
yourself?
you had to sum up in a sentence, keys, unspoken keys to finding your perfect, in inverted commas, perfect life coach, what are those keys? I'll give you a second to think about it.
I'll say make sure they're certified, what they have to say about themselves and what they can do with you. I like to maybe, just go ahead and make that leap and have the discovery call. Check out their website for sure. I love, I just need a little information about you before I make that call, and through the information, I'm going to know how to get a hold of you, and I will. And it doesn't hurt, right? It's like you're investing in yourself.
Something that you came up on the beginning, Almar. See also if you align with what the coach focus is. So we all have presented ourselves in the beginning, and we know we have different approaches to coaching ourselves. So I think this is important when trying to find a coach, even if we use similar frameworks and tools. So when I say that I focus on empowerment and strengths while I'm coaching, this will also be something important to my client to understand, because maybe, for example, my approach is a lot different than Avril, for example, that is a spiritual coach. So I would also pay a little bit of attention to this specific part when trying to find a coach.
So you mean niche, right?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, the word is the niche.
Yeah.
Rick, and on your side?
Yes, I would say within the discovery call, resonance. Resonance is a big one for me in connection. Do I feel as if I have that with you guys, right? We may not agree or on every specific principle, but there is an underlying connection between us as people. We're on, I like to call it, a different frequency. And I was speaking about a friend a couple of weeks ago, about, speaking the same languages, but, dolphins in the ocean, right? They can hear each other from, I think it's miles away, right? So if somebody is not speaking your language, then find where the other dolphins are, find your people, find the people who, are on your frequency and are speaking your language and can just understand you on a deeper, more intimate level, right? I think, and in order to do that, I think you need to be very tuned into what language you're speaking. So resonance, first of all, and then more than anything else, that intentionality that I spoke about before. First of all, you clear as to what your intention is. What do you want to get out of that? Are you able to verbalize that to somebody? Because that in itself can be very difficult. We spoke before, Almar, just about, word. What was the term?
Economy.
Word economy, right? Which I definitely struggle with. So yeah, I think that intentionality to get them to understand and probably to reflect back on you, what do you hear when I said that, with regards to what I want from this session? Because I think coaches will sometimes nod their head and they'll say they understand, but us as human beings have this funny way. Again, if we're speaking to a whale or to a shark, then they're not going to understand our dolphin language. Do you know what I mean? So
I love all these marine life metaphors.
I know, right?
It's a great way to close up today.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
This was
Absolutely.
wonderful.
No, I love this discussion. Almar and Sofia, thank you so much for jumping in with us. Again, listeners, I hope you've enjoyed our discussion, our deep dive into personal chemistry, the unspoken key to choosing your life coach. And thank you so much, Almar
Drop
and
us
Sofia.
questions if you have.
you.
Drop us questions in your comments.
Yeah, that would be great.
Absolutely.
We
Let us
would
know.
love to answer some questions on our next podcast.
Fantastic.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, until next time, guys. Life's a coach.
All
Bye.
right, guys. Bye.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Life's a Coach, where our conversations aim to empower and support your personal growth. Until next time, remember that personal development is ongoing, so keep exploring, keep learning, and keep living a life that aligns with your true purpose. Take care, and we'll see you on the next episode of Life's a Coach.